I am thankful that the Owl House's second season premiered just before Summerpalooza 3 happened, because let me just say this right now, this episode is, well, I officially talk about the shipping feud between Luce and Amity, even though that this episode is mostly Luce and her friends trying to get back to Hexside after being banned. The episode begins with Amity doing a demonstration as part of Bright Industries, which is her mother's business. And considering that the world building of the Borean Isles is mostly a work in progress, especially with this still being in the second season, I can easily admire most of the choices that they're doing here. Because considering that Amity just didn't really enjoy doing the job that her mother forces her to do, she still has feelings towards Luce after the picture that they took during the whole prom episode. And trust me, I am going to tackle that episode, just not anytime soon, I'm sorry. When Amity's mother saw the image of her being with her friends at Hexside, she took matters into her own hands after her daughter failed to do the demonstration. So she forces the principal to ban Luce, Willow, and Gus from Hexside. And in my opinion, this plot is probably the best plot from this show. Granted, I may correct myself when it comes to watching the other episodes from the first season and new episodes for the second season, but let me just say this right now. The fact that the parents are mostly different compared to other parents I've seen from other shows made me appreciate of what they're trying to do for Amity, since that Amity isn't really like Luce, Willow, and Gus, even though that Amity had a relationship with Willow in the past. And with Luce accepting an offer to go to Bright Industries with Amity's mother, I can guarantee you that this is way more different compared to what Connie's parents did in Steven Universe. And for someone who reviewed Nightmare Hospital, I can easily admire those types of parents. But with this being placed into the Borean Isles, I'm really impressed for what they do when it comes to the other characters that aren't really the main attraction in this show. Aside from the Elements episode, this is the first time I'm talking about Luce's relationship with Amity in this show. And let me just say, the LGBT thing going on in Disney is something that has never been done before. It really feels like Disney took notes from other cartoons like Steven Universe and used these elements into the Owl House, but also doing it in a unique way, because the main characters are in this type of relationship. And even though that Marceline and PB did that in Adventure Time, it didn't happen when the show continued on in the later seasons. And after watching all the episodes up until this point, I have to say that they really did an excellent job on improving the relationship after watching this episode, because this episode alone made me appreciate the relationship when it comes to how Amity's parents have treated Amity ever since she was growing up in the Borean Isles. And every time I instantly look at new characters from the Owl House, they are much more stranger, but at the same time, much more ruthless. In the beginning, when Amity is doing her demonstration, she wanted to make sure that anything involving her friend Luce doesn't get completely damaged, which is why she completely uses her powers against the creature in order to save the image. But apparently, with her mother disapproval, she bans Luce and her friends from school, and I can guarantee you that something like this wouldn't happen in the real world if a character who has a close relationship towards a person that their parents are just not really into the ideal. It's similar to Connie's parents, sure, but unlike Connie's parents, where they actually are aware that what Steven has went through isn't ordinary in the world that they're in, this is mostly a facility where we just need to accept that it's just strange and just don't really expect what really happens in the real world. you don't even understand of how much that these characters are way more unique the more you completely give an understanding of what their motivations are. Because Anami's mother makes a deal with Luz that if she takes over Anami's job by completely doing most of the demonstrations, she'll be able to go back to Hexside. Let me just tell you right now that no other parent would do that, but at the same time, you don't even understand that the parent's job involves a company while she's running it. So we can actually see the origin of why Anami isn't really like other people, and the fact that her past involving her relationship with Willow is a lot more different when it's literally the only friend she had before Luz came into the Borean Isles. And for me personally, it made me appreciate the shipping between Luz and Anami a lot more, especially with the whole LGBT representation. Well, B instead of P. And every time I see more moments between these two characters as the series goes on, I'm pretty sure that they won't be able to mess it up as long as they keep this whole development intact between these two characters. So let's go talk about Anami's parents, because let me just say this right now. This isn't gonna be the only time we're gonna be seeing these two characters in this show. With the Golden Guard want to get some reinforcements, this really proves that they're probably working with the Emperor in some other capacity, but I don't even know if they're gonna have a character arc where they decide to turn good, but at the same time, the opposite. But then again, I'm pretty sure that they're not going to take that route when it comes to parents turning evil by siding with the main antagonist of this show. But all I can say is right now, this is further proof that Anami's parents are a lot more dysfunctional compared to her. Let me just say right now, I have never seen parents this dysfunctional and also this demented when it comes to the world building that they're in. And with every other cartoon I've seen, nearly most of the parents are way more respectful and protective, but not with these parents. And I'm actually mostly concerned on what they're going to do as the series continues, because I know forward that they're gonna be coming back. For me personally, this episode really goes to show of how much that the relationship between Luz and Anami really work together in order to have its conclusion by the end of the series. And if there is gonna be a kiss moment between Anami and Luz, I am actually gonna be concerned of how people are going to take it seriously when it comes to non-shippers. I mean, shippers, they will go crazy over it, but at the same time, with this being on Disney and not something out of Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network, it's gonna be really surprising of what they're going to do if that moment happens. As for the subplot in this episode, it's mainly Edna trying to do something way more superior than her sister Lilith, but apparently she can't be able to do so. Since this is still going on between these two characters, mostly trying to get along while also trying to improve on their magic, it's mostly a work in progress. And let me just say right now, even if this isn't something that I will recommend when it comes to the side plots in this show, I still think it's the most underway when it comes to how Lilith is growing her relationship with Edna in this season. And every time I instantly look scenes when these two characters are apart from each other, it actually makes their dynamic really interesting when you completely see that Lilith is much more superior compared to Edna, who is having a difficult time. So let me just say this right now, it's only a matter of time for these two characters to regain their powers back, but I have to admit, the next episode that I'm going to be seeing involving these two characters, it will probably be either for a comedy's sake or something that can easily continue and develop their relationship together. So, in my opinion, these two characters in the subplot is really a work in progress, and I actually think that this subplot does it a lot more better compared to other subplots that I've witnessed. Yeah, I did mention that this is mostly underway when it comes to the other subplots, but the thing is, I'm not really into subplots that much, even though that they're mostly for filler at least. But even with some subplots, they actually do succeed by doing something interesting to the table, and this is definitely one of them. So overall, this is one of the best episodes from this season so far, and I can really tell that even though there are going to be later episodes that can't be superior to this, I have to admit that when it comes to an anime in loose episode, aside from the Grom episode, this is definitely number 2. By the way, Gus's voice being deeper, considering that the actor had hit puberty, is actually really noticeable, but I also like it for that reason. I think this is like the first time, compared to other cartoons in the past, where I've seen a character's voice gotten deeper due to the actor getting older and older. Details like this just makes me question a lot, doesn't it? I give this episode an 8.25 out of 10.
Let's get this started again. Me and my whole